Tell me the truth. Does this shirt look hideous? Seriously, I put this shirt on yesterday, and my wife was sitting on the edge of the bed. We have one of those big, long, full-body mirrors on each of our sliding closet doors. And I put the shirt on, and I thought, yeah, that's kind of creepy. It's the Joker. I like it. And Margaret just looked at me and dead ass said, that shirt is hideous. She looked so displeased with my shirt. So I'm just curious. This shirt, yay or nay? I'm not going to stop wearing it, no matter how many yays or nays I get. I'm just curious. Taking a poll. Anywho, with DC FanDome right around the corner, literally it's tomorrow as of me recording this video, I thought I'd make a video about DC FanDome, maybe some of the things that have been revealed. I guess this is a DC Talking Points video, isn't it? DC Talking Points. DC Talking Points. That's right. My name is Brad, and I'll be your dancing monkey for the day. Let me just go over onto Instagram here for a second, because I find, I'm not gonna lie, I get a lot of my news for DC stuff off of Instagram. Like, I would say most of it. Oh, and maybe we should just briefly touch on some of the comics that have been canceled over at DC Comics. I haven't been talking about this stuff just because, I don't know, I haven't. I am not a DC news source. I am a quasi sort of sometimes DC conversational site where I bring up kind of news items, but nobody should be looking at me for their first information on anything DC unless possibly it's action figure related. But there are plenty of other channels out there that cover DC movies, television shows and stuff well before I even have a chance to. It doesn't mean I can't talk about it though. For starters, let's have a little peekaroo at the official logo for Matt Reeves' The Batman. Nice. I like this a lot. I think overall, and some people are going to hate me for this, I think it's probably even kind of niftier looking than the Keaton Batman logo with the gold and the black. I really hope that the tone this logo presents, which is one of dark, twisted Gotham. That's what I get when I see this. I hope that the movie matches that. I hope that, for as much as I'm not a super fan of the Matt Reeves Batsuit, at least what we've seen so far, it's not horrible, it's not great, I'm on the record as saying that. I do very much hope that the movie is successful, and it is a fantastic movie. And I hope that it's successful because it's fantastic. In other big news, remember how we already heard that Keaton was going to be returning back to a Batman role in the Flash movie? Well, so is Ben Affleck. We're going to have Affleck and Keaton officially returning for a role in the Flash movie. That is awesome that Affleck actually has a chance, now we know officially, to reprise his role as one of the best Batmans we've ever seen. It's almost like Batman is going to overshadow the Flash in this movie. He won't, but it feels that way. There's like, it's bigger news that they're coming back to reprise their roles than it is that the movie even exists in the first place. For those of you who collect DC figures, like myself, and especially those of the Mezco 1/12 collective variety, you'll be happy to know that there are already reviews of the 1/12 Deluxe Harley Quinn in the Jester suit. Not mine though, because I buy mine specifically from a local fellow because he's my friend and I love his business and I want to show him that I care, so I buy them through him 9 times out of 10 to make sure that he stays in business. That means I get them later. Pooh! So I don't have the Harley, so I haven't made a video about that yet. I will be at some point, but there are a few videos of her on YouTube at this point, so you could check those out. And the same thing with the Mezco 1/12 Supreme Knight Batman. That will be showing up for me next week. Yeah! It's basically Mezco's version of the Dark Knight Returns Batman, but it's not the comic accurate version. At least that's what I see when I look at it. So I can say that look forward, if you want to, in the future for a Mezco Supreme Knight Batman action figure review from me, probably in a week and a half from now. Something like that. But really, you don't have to watch my review. I'm happy if you do. I'd really like you to, but you don't have to. There are plenty of other fantastic reviewers out there who are frankly better than me that you can go and watch theirs as well. Now in regards to DC FanDome, I'm not going to be probably watching everything. I won't be. And I'm not even sure how I'm going to tackle it. I want to cover it on this channel somehow. Whether that means live streaming certain events, certain things. I don't know if I can even do that without getting, a copyright notice or someone claiming it or it getting blocked in certain countries. I honestly have no idea. Whether it means I just screen record the segments that I want to, and then I pop my face in and have commentary as we go, or it's like a pseudo watch along. I'm not really sure, but I'll tell you the ones that I'm for sure going to be at. The Wonder Woman 1984 panel, I'm definitely going to be attending because that movie does have me uber excited. The Warner Brothers Games Montreal announcement, because Why wouldn't I go to that? Multiverse 101 panel, which is Saturday, August 22nd at 2:15. And then you've got the Introducing Flash panel at 2:40. I will likely end up at that one as well. Beyond Batman at 2:50. The Suicide Squad panel at 2:55. At 4 p.m., there's a Legacy of the Bat panel, which, of course, I'm going to be attending. I may end up at the Joker, put on a happy face. That may be one that I attend. I'm not really sure. Same with I'm Batman, the voices behind the cowl panel. And that's at 10 after 5. I may attend that one. Surprise DC Comics panel at 4:45. I plan on being there. And the Snyder Cut of Justice League panel at 5:30. I definitely plan on being at that one. That's probably, out of all of them, the one that I'm the most stoked about, if I'm being honest. Finally, at 6:10, there's a Black Adam panel. And then going all the way down to 10 after 8, there is a Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League panel at the Hall of Heroes. And this game makes me excited and pissed off at the same time. Like, well, I gotta kill the Justice League. But in the end, I don't really know what the game is about. That's why I gotta go to the panel, so I can maybe see gameplay and hear people talk about it before I can decide whether I like it or whether I hate it. I'm kidding. I wouldn't hate it either way. It's just, I feel like killing the Justice League is like, you know, when you play Skyrim or you play Fallout and then you play as the person that just does all the bad stuff and aligns with the Raiders and has all the bad karma and goes into Megaton and just blows up the nuclear bomb on purpose and turns Megaton into a mega hole. Yeah, I tried that once before. I feel so terrible, I can't do it. I always end up as the hero of the wasteland. If there's a dude outside, like, water, I need water, I'd love some fresh water, I'm always like, here you go, man. I go and find the people, fast travel to them, just to give them water sometimes. And then the final panel I plan on attending is the Batman at 8:30. Other than that, I really don't know. I may attend more in between. You know, if I'm just like here, it's convenient, I might just keep watching and watch the next one or whatever. But at this point, I don't know for sure. I can't really sit in front of my computer all day long. I do kind of have to do other stuff. But that being said, I do plan on attending at least those. Whether I'll be doing a live stream, like I said, or whether I'll be recording the footage and then inserting my face into some of the comments. I really don't know how I'm going to do it. I might not even be able to. I might get completely claimed or blocked. So it remains to be seen how I'm going to handle this. But those is my plans for DC fandom. What are yours? Are you going to be there for the whole thing? You going to watch all of it for the whole time? For the whole 24 hours? Or are you going to cherry pick like me and watch some things and not others? And now on to the nasty, nasty list of comics that DC Comics has canceled. And it's not necessarily a bad thing they've been canceled, but it's definitely a sad thing that it's been canceled. Sad isn't always bad. That was stupid. Point is, the list of titles is actually, they're titles that at first glance you wouldn't think would be getting the axe. Let's look at the article from DIORAMA. DC cancels Teen Titans, Young Justice, Suicide Squad, Hawkman, and more. This tells you how far behind I am in reporting the news. That's why I'm not really a news channel. Following the cancellations of Batgirl, Batman the Outsiders, and Justice League Odyssey in October, and I could kind of see that. I mean, I collect Justice League Odyssey. I think it's a great little title. It tells a fantastic story that's kind of off to the side, but still very important to the DC universe. I can see it maybe not selling perhaps as much as people would have liked. DC's just released November solicitations reveal that Teen Titans, Young Justice, Suicide Squad, Hawkman, and John Constantine Hellblazer are all ending in November with a cryptic message about Aquaman that makes the title's fate questionable. The Batman's Grave and Metal Men Limited series will also reach their planned end in November. Now when it comes to Batman's Grave and the Metal Men, I don't think that's such a bad thing that they're ending because they were planned to end, as it says here. I've been collecting the Batman's Grave. It's an interesting story, not really super great, but kind of interesting. I actually could have not collected it and been just as happy. However, as far as I'm concerned, at least as far as DC title mainstays go, Teen Titans getting canceled is kind of a big deal just because, you know, they've sort of always been there. There's usually some kind of a Teen Titans title out there, be it Teen Titans or New Teen Titans, or in the 90s we had the Young Justice book. So that definitely surprises me that they're just getting canceled, at least at first glance. We're going to look at all the numbers too. Them sales number is really what's driving AT&T to make these decisions. They want to make money. It's a business. I get it. You're not making comics because you're a nice guy. You're making comics because you need to turn a profit. You have shareholders. I understand how all that business works. So we'll look at the numbers after. Young Justice being canceled is a close book to my heart. I've enjoyed it very, very much. I've bought every single issue. I love love the artist work. The story is interesting enough. I love the fact that they have reintroduced Connor Kent Superboy into the DC universe at large with this storyline. And the same thing with Bart Allen in a very classic Bart Allen suit. I think that while the writing hasn't been super stellar for the book, it hasn't been the greatest writing in the world, it's been fun. It's been light. It's been fun. They've covered a few kind of heavy-ish topics while not, in my opinion, throwing things in your face and cramming agendas down your throat. And Hawkman being canceled, like I said, that's not a super surprise. It sucks that such a, a main character that I think that they're finally trying to address some of the screwiness of his history with, because they did reboot him with the Dark Knight's Metal. They did bring back Carter Hall. The whole thing is like, Hawkman's a difficult character, right? We can admit that he can be a very difficult character because so many people have handled him over the years and made changes and done different things. And it's like, well, now they all kind of got to count somehow. Point is, Hawkman ain't no Superman, no Flash, Batman, Wonder Woman, Green Lantern, and those are the big characters. Those are the ones that consistently sell the most titles. And it's just sad to see that Constantine Hellblazer will be losing his book. You can always use more of Constantine. He's just an interesting character. So at this point, that is the casualties that I'm aware of in the DC Comics House of Publishing weekly periodicals. It's definitely very sad that we're going to lose these books, but in the end, it really is about the number of books that they sell, which translates into the amount of money that they make. And the comic book industry with printed comics has been losing money vastly for a long time. As I mentioned before, there were books that currently, when they sell a certain number, by today's standards, they say that's a good number of books to sell. But back in the day, that was the number that got your book canceled when it dipped to that number. So the writing has been on the wall for a long time. I don't have to like it. I hope they don't go to just digital, and then if you want the paper copy, then you get the collected, hardback or the collected graphic novel version. I like my weekly periodicals, and just having them go digital will wreck some of the fun of all the fun of collecting comics, because there ain't nothing to collect. So here we are at the Fantastic Comic-Con. It's actually a really good website, very telling, and it shows you how the comics sold over the years. So what the title is, what the publisher is, and how many units it sold. It's a very good website if you're someone who is a comic historian. I'm not a comic historian myself, but it's certainly a very good website if you're into understanding why comic book titles quite often get canceled. So let's go to monthly sales, and it starts right here, 1985, 89, 95, 87, 89, so you've got all these years you can dip into and you can look at their monthly sales. So let's start with middle of the 90s, 1995. All right, so here we are, 1995, February, and what we have here is a list of comic book titles right here in front of us. And we can see how many units that they sold and the price of that issue. And we're going down this list. And I'm going to stop when I get to a DC comic. Batman Adventures at 69,000. Superman at 65,000, because Superman was still riding high off the success of the Death and Return of Superman. Adventures of Superman, 63. Action Comics, Detective Comics, and we're getting down into numbers of 62,000.3. Whereas the top sellers up here, you had the Amazing Spider-Man at 152,000.8 units. Astonishing X-Men at 147.6 units. Catwoman at 43. But now I've got the list set up by just DC. So now we're just going to look at the DC. So Batman Adventures, Superman, Adventures of Superman. We can see that Superman is dominating up here with Batman and Bat titles up there as well. And as you can see, the numbers begin to drop fairly sharply. You've got your 50, your 46, 43, and then very quickly you end up in the 20s, 29. And Aquaman did 29. And you keep going down the list here, all the way down the DC list, and you begin to see that some of these numbers are very, very low. And I can promise you that the books that the numbers were this low shortly got canceled thereafter. Well, now if we fast forward to 2020, and what month were we in? February. So we're going to go to February. And then first of all, we're going to look at the comics that sold the best in February in general. And it's, we've got Wolverine at 190,000, X-Men at 92. That is 100,000 copies average drop off. That's huge. Then you have Batman is the first DC title at 74. Batman Again at 73. Deceased Unkillables at 72. And remember, this is right before the pandemic. People were still out buying comics. They were going to their comic shops and supporting their friends that sell them comics every week, those weekly periodicals. And then we don't see any DC until we get to Batman Curse of the White Knight with a drop to 54. And then we don't get to another DC comic again until number 19 with Justice League at 44. And going all the way down this list right here for the month, we can see that some of these titles are in trouble. Some of these titles are not doing well. So now let's look for the titles that got canceled. Sorry, that must have been really painful to watch. I'm just scrolling the screen and you're watching. Teen Titans in February did 17. And Dollar Comics, the new Teen Titans, only did 13. Now I get it. It's, you know, I bought it. It's a good classic issue, but I get it. Some people don't want to buy the old stuff. Titans, Burning Rage. It barely crept up to half 6. 6, 7 is what it got. But really, it's the Teen Titans that is the one that I'm paying the most attention to on the top. At 17,000 units, that is not a lot of units sold. At that point, DC is not making good money on this unit. We can see Aquaman here at 19.6. We see Constantine at 16.8. Also not good. We see Young Justice only reaching 20, close to the 21 mark, but only selling 20,000 units average. And so for the same month, we're going to look at all the different Batman titles that came out. And starting off with a respectable 74.4, we have Batman issue number 88. But what I want to do is go down the line here and first of all show you how sharp the numbers begin to drop off. And then, even more so, I want to pull up right here Batman and the Outsiders, which only did 15.9. Those are not good numbers. Those are not good sales, even by today's standards. Those are books that AT&T is going to be thinking that they're losing money. They're not making good money on this. And as much as I would love to see these books all continue, if they're not making money, they can't continue. They're not making comics because they're nice. They're making comics to make money. And so the idea is you trim the fat, you get rid of the stuff that's not making very much money, you focus on what you have that does very well, and then from there you try to maybe create new things based off the stuff that is doing well. You give the people more of what they want. But if you oversaturate, they stop wanting that and then you screw yourself over anyway. So essentially what we're seeing here is drops in numbers for these comics, and they're not selling enough. I'd love to see these comics stick around, but it is a business. These people have to make money off of these titles. And it's funny, the comic industry right now seems to be bogged down by a mix of, well, we want to tell stories that are fun and exciting and innovative, but there also seems to be a certain amount of social agenda kind of worked into a lot of the different titles. And the thing is, there's always been social agenda worked into the titles. It's always been there. You can't look at the Green Lantern and the Green Arrow dealing with drugs and poverty and say there was not some social agenda in there. And we all kind of looked at it and well, that's a very interesting book and it's a classic, and I think it's much loved by most of us DC fans at this date. And there's social commentary all through DC Comics, and it's kind of, like I said, it's always been there. Superman, the very first issue that Superman appeared in, Action Comics #1, was rife with social commentary in his first story. Now, maybe some of today's social issues and agendas are a little bit perhaps more divisive than they have been in the past, and the numbers are showing, in some cases, that you can't cram a social agenda down people's throat and have them keep buying comics. They don't want to feel bad when they buy comics. It's a form of escapism. We want to escape. We don't want to feel like we're being preached to. But as for the titles that DC has canceled, I really just think it's about interest, because I don't see any harsh or divisive social agendas in any of those books. At least not that I've seen, not that I've read half of them, but even when they come up online and people that are comic book commentary people, those aren't the titles that they're talking about. So clearly, I feel like it's just a matter of people not being interested in the titles in the first place for whatever reason. The characters themselves, maybe the storytelling has gotten dry, who knows? But I'm telling you, if they go canceling Superman and Batman, I'm rioting in the streets. Anyway, Super Friends, this was a disjointed, weird video, wasn't it? By the way, if you made it this far, you're a real champ and a super friend. By the way, as you all know, I've got this other channel that I'm working on. Right now it's called Crowbar Willie. It's a working title. I don't really know what I'm going to call it. Maybe I'll call it Brad everything else. I really don't know. But this channel will remain only DC and everything else. What do you want, phone? It clearly wants my attention. This channel will remain purely DC. That is the commitment that I've made to you super friends and to myself and to this channel and to my love of DC. So I know it sucks. I know that now I have 2 channels that I'm uploading, but my uploading frequency probably won't be any more than normal. It'll just be divided between 2 channels. And if you're subscribed to that channel and you like what you see on my channel, it'll be more of that, only with a bigger variety of fandoms and figures and collectibles and reviews on different things and just other weird content that I can't put on the DC channel. So remember, if you like this and you want to see more of this or more of these or more of whatever I'm doing, subscribe to that so that you can see what I'm doing over there for maybe a little bit different flavor. Maybe you like to eat pepperoni pizza all the time, but occasionally you like a bacon pizza. That's the bacon pizza. This is the pepperoni pizza. They're both good. I just don't want to put anchovies. Anchovies have nothing to do with this. Anyway, super friends, that's all my time for today. I will see you with the next one. Have a fantastic, super awesome DC day, and take care.